Alright, well then, let's get started. Now, I was going to do a proper video essay, but I realized that I don't work like that. I don't have the structure for that, so this is more of a self-interview or maybe a podcast. I don't know. Think of it like a podcast interview video essay. So, let's really get into it. Why do Black women dance? If you think about it from a Black feminist geographic sense, Black women dance as a source of freedom, as a way of resistance. This is a way to show that I am here and you will see me. You will see me. Now, the most important thing I'll be covering is the film Shakedown by Layla Wainwright. Shakedown is, of course, a film documentary of a club named Shakedown that opened and closed in LA. That club has had ripple effects, not only in terms of stripping, but for lesbian stripping overall. Lesbian stripping was not as, well, let's say it's not as intimate as it was in LA before Shakedown. Shakedown changed the entire game. The first thing I'm going to be talking about is intimacy. Intimacy of dance. Everyone knows that dancing overall is something very intimate, even if it's just solo dancing. It's as if you are baring yourself to someone else, and you really have to show your whole entire soul in order to get the proper emotion for dancing. That is something that you truly cannot undo. That's something that has to be thought of day in and day out whenever you dance. And Shakedown did something extremely different from other clubs. Shakedown allowed the dancers to be so intimate with the audience that they were able to physically touch the dancers in ways that other clubs would not allow. This is very much a way of showing the space that Shakedown has allowed and cultivated over its time. Shakedown creates the space of extremely close intimacy. The audience is meant to be freer and a sense of touch, but it's also very much that the audience is given the chance to also feel attractive in ways that the dancers do as well. The audience is allowed to feel as if they're also part of the show, and that's something that you couldn't get with other clubs. You could not get the audience feeling as if they were one of the dancers as well, or dancing with them. That was something revolutionary. I don't want to generalize, but Shakedown really did something different that other clubs did not do. Example, the other club very much had a cordoned off space. This is where the dancers went. This is where the audience went. The dancers were meant to be seen, but not touched, almost like you're at an art gallery. The dancers were meant to be more of a spectacle. You view them, and then that's all of the interaction that you would have. One of the dancers, Egypt. Egypt was extremely unique. She shook up the entire idea of even how to dance and how to strip at a club. She was something absolutely insanely different. She danced hard. She danced like a man. She did not subscribe to the feminine dancing. When she did something, she did it hard. And she passed on that knowledge. But she also really didn't. When Shakedown closed, there was no other chance to pass down the knowledge. And in the final interview, no, yeah, in the final interview with Egypt, there was a mention of they need someone like us in here. Whenever she goes to new strip clubs and gets brought up to dance and sees other girls dancing, no one's doing it like the dancers at Shakedown. She wanted to pass down that knowledge of dancing. That space that was created at Shakedown was unique, and she wanted a way to replicate it and pass it down in some way. And of course, it was closed down, it was shut down before she ever got the chance. Going back to the intimacy of Shakedown, we know that Shakedown was extremely unique in the way that it allowed its audience of Black lesbians and Black women to interact with the dancers. They would touch them, they would interact with them, they would touch them sexually. It was something that was not seen in other clubs. It's noticeable when you watch it, but when you watch it with a friend, you truly get some different ideas of why. And one of my friends, Talia, brought up the audience can truly be as interactive as they please, and there's no underlying sense of fear. This space has created something so different and so safe that these dancers can truly be as close and personal with the audience and not feel fear that something could happen to them, like SA. So that was something that Shakedown really shook up when I realized that they did not have that underlying fear of possible assault in this club because it was so safe to them. They just knew that this space of intimacy, of joy, of creativity, and safety was going to be their shield. And it was for a while until, of course, as mentioned before, the police shut them down. Shakedown was physically a place that was hidden. Not on purpose, of course, but it's hard to buy your own building and get all of the leasing and regulations for it. So they, of course, rented out a different space in the club. It's very much an idea of hidden in plain sight, a paradoxical space. If you don't know what you're looking for, you assume that the building houses one club and that's it. But if you're in the know, then you know exactly what you've done. It's created a Black Girl Commons in a hidden area, a space where Black women and Black girls can truly feel as though they are themselves, but more than Black girls as well, and Black women. This was a space for truly every Black identity. Shakedown being a queer club really showed the different ideals that Black people have in terms of gender and sexuality. You hear terms like my gay lesbian son, and of course studs, and being a handsome woman. And that is something that you really didn't see in the media when Shakedown was filmed. It became much more prevalent when it was released, but when Shakedown was filmed, you didn't even think of someone calling someone else the gay lesbian son. Most people didn't even know what studs were. Most people don't even know what studs still are. That really opens up your eyes to the space of freedom that was created by Shakedown. That was a space where you could freely and just unabashedly be yourself. And that was crazy. Something really creative with the way that Shakedown as a documentary was filmed. And I think that Layla did a really amazing job with showcasing just how intimate of a club it was. I've said intimate a lot, but that's really the idea I'm trying to drive home here. Just the pure connectivity and how close everyone was. Layla when interviewing people really made you feel like you were the one holding the camera. Like you were the one that knew these people. When she was filming dancing, it felt like you were personally in the audience. Like you were the one being danced for. You were the one being grinded on top of. Like that was something that you don't really see in any documentaries. Documentaries are meant to show things from an objective view, whatever objective truly means, but an objective view. And this was subjective. You got to know these people. You got to know Layla's own opinions. You got to create your own opinions. And that wasn't a bad thing. That wasn't wrong. Being opinionated was not wrong, and it is not wrong. The way this was filmed also allowed you to partake in the shared eroticism of the club. Everyone there had their own sense of just erotics, and you, as an audience member watching the film, felt as if you were also participating in this. You got to see everything, and it almost felt like you were the one in Shakedown. Shakedown, as mentioned before, really allowed a very, very unique way of viewing your own gender and sexuality. Egypt, when describing her own dancing and her performance and the persona that she puts on, said that she was like a drag queen, that she could party with the drag queens and dance with the drag queens, and she really wouldn't be out of place. You really don't think of, well, femme presenting people as drag queens. You think, oh, well, they're going to be drag kings. They're going to, perform drag in the opposite spectrum. But no, she really emphasized that, like, she was in control of the way she was viewed. And she danced and performed and acted like a drag queen. Focusing back on Egypt, who really was like the star of Shakedown, both as overall a club and also in the documentary. Something really happened in one of the interviews that Lydia did, in which Egypt's girlfriend used to love the persona of Egypt. She used to fantasize over it. She would posters. She gave Egypt money in hopes that she would date her and like her more. And then once they started dating, she hated it. She could not stand the persona. She couldn't stand the attitude that Egypt gave her. And it was insane to see how the space that Egypt has created for herself with that persona has now been controlled. When watching this with a group of friends, one of my friends, Amara, said that everything is truly all about fantasy until they became partners. And now, once that fantasy was broken, it's truly just something to be controlled. She just wanted, not to assume, but I believe that she just wanted to control the space and creation of Egypt. The fantasy of Egypt wasn't worth what she thought it was anymore. So, what's the point? Literally, what was the point in me talking about Shakedown for who knows how long now? What was the point in me looking at it from a Black Feminist Geography perspective? What was the point? Well, the point was we have not really many other ways to view Black Feminist Geographies. We have to use the aesthetics as a way to view not only where Black women are, where Black women have been, but also what they are doing and how they are using and creating the places that they have been in to create a new space. Shakedown especially shows a resistance against the forced eroticism of Black women, against the forced hypersexualization of Black women. Dancers in Shakedown say, if I am going to be hypersexualized, I am going to take control of it. And I'm going to make money from it too. And like, period. Period. Honestly, make money from the ways that you have been burdened and damned from white supremacy. If you find a way to benefit from it without really hurting the people that are also hurt from white supremacy, why not truly take advantage of it? Find a way to flip the narrative on its head. You may be sexual, but you're doing it for your own purposes. You may be sexual, but you choose when and where and how. Black feminist geography uses the aesthetics because Black women have no space in the archives. There was never an archive of how Black women have created their own space. So we have to rely on movies and documentaries and shows and photographs to show how Black women create and cultivate a space for themselves and for other people. We don't have a language to truly describe not only the space of Black women, but the spaces that they have been given. We have no actual standardized language for the geographies of Black women the same way that traditional geographies do. We have no actual way to say Black women were here and now they're there. Black women were never given the chance to be in the archives. They were never even thought of in the archives. If they were, it was because of the slave trades. That was where Black women were, in the archives. And now we have no true sense of what happened after them and what is happening now. We need the aesthetics and Black feminist geographies to truly analyze where and how Black women are given and used in space. But what's the point of it afterwards? Well, who knows? Surely, who knows? Black women have been found, they have been fixed into place, and then they have been erased from place. So, what's the point of Black feminist geographies trying to change that? Well, really, we don't know what the point is. We're trying to see the relationship between Black women and geography. That's the best point that we can do right now. There's truly no other giant overlying questions that we have of how do we use this knowledge. This knowledge is something that we have to carry with us. Who knows how it will be used later on? It's just a mystery now. The one thing that we can answer about Black feminist geographies is that they prove that Black women have an investment in space and spatial politics. They truly care about how their space is being controlled and how they take back that control from the hands of white supremacy. And Black feminist geographies directly contradicts the idea of traditional geographies that space and place just are, that there's no change in them. Black feminist geography shows that space and place are alterable. Shakedown shows that the space created in that club is ever changing. You can change it from something extremely intimate to something extremely energetic to something extremely slow and much more passionate in terms of the idea of sexual encounters. But it can also be changed into a space of fear. And it shows that despite these areas changing, that traditional geography truly has no hold on the ideas of Black women in their space.